Hello there everyone, welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today I'm going to review The Fabelmans. The Fabelmans is a loosely autobiographical movie about the life of Steven Spielberg and his younger years. So this is when he started making movies till I believe his first TV career, right? His first TV directing role or directing work, I guess. But yeah, this movie was released back in 2022, I believe. So last year, by the time you're watching this, yeah, last year. Um, Somewhere last year. I'm not quite sure which day it was, release day specifically. But to be honest, this movie is really fun. Like, holy shit. I heard mixed reviews about it for some reason, but I watched it, I enjoyed it, and I was like, holy shit. This movie, it got to me, man. It got to me. I was like, holy shit, okay, this is very relatable. And, I think it's really cool to see someone that big just to have, he started really small. Like, I believe his first movie that I watched he was like, what was it, 5 or 6 or something, and then he was fascinated by it, fascinated how the things worked and how the objects and the characters moved on the screen and like the different camera angles. For example, there's this one scene where he found this train really interesting, and the train crashed into a car and two people flew off the car, and he thought that was really interesting. And his first toy in this movie was a train too, so he could reenact that scene, which is really fun. And yeah, that was really nice because this guy, Steven Spielberg, this man, this popular man, was also in a Boy Scout, and that's also why I can really relate, because I am also in a Boy Scout. I'm in a youth movement in Belgium, obviously, and yeah, I can really see why there are certain people really encouraged into making these films, right? Obviously, this was in the 60s, right? There were like almost 40 people that he worked with, like in his youth movement, and that's really, really interesting. That's really cool for someone that small, I guess, to make a movie with 40 men, which is really dope. And there's also like this one scene that I really thought that was interesting, where he encouraged the guy to act, right? To act passionate in this film, and the guy just went on and he cried because all of his fellow people died in the movie, not in real life, obviously, but just in the movie, and the guy just acted. That was really cool to see in this movie, in The Fablemans, obviously. But yeah, like I said, this is loosely based around of the life of Steven Spielberg. You can see some elements that he talked about, but there are also some things that also happened, which like really interesting to see. Like, if it were up to me, like, this is really like a movie about a man's life, right? So you could see his sisters, you could see his dad, his mom. Well, they're not the real names, right? Obviously, they're more like other names, right? But if you were to work from this certain core of elements, like, okay, the mom, the dad, two sisters, the family friend, the Boy Scouts, and the cameras and the train and everything around that, I think that's the core of the things that where Steven Spielberg began with, which is really interesting, at least for me, right? And yeah, like I said, this is also about his family and how his family struggled with being a Jew in America, and obviously that's just like 10 years after the war, or maybe a bit more than that, like 12 years, around the 50s, 60s, right? People still, we're not quite sure about the entire Jews and other people coming into America who aren't Christian and stuff like that. So that was also a really interesting thing to see. But I think that was history, man. That was that. There's not really a lot that you can change about that. But yeah, like I said, The Fablemans is a story about a passionate boy, about a young man or a young boy, right? Trying to work with something that he wants to do later in life, like filmmaking and video making or work for television, work for the motion pictures, right? Um, as a film student myself, I well, this year and last year I also did film in my school and still do by the time you're watching this. And yes, it is obviously, you know, weird to see the negatives, right? So the black little 6 millimeter film reels, right? And that's how they did it in the 60s and 50s and stuff like that. And that was really interesting to see. So the copy or the paste and the cuts and the gluing together and stuff like that, that was really interesting to see. You know, as me who works with, like, you know, mobile phones and cameras and, you know, digital forms of filmmaking, of with cameras, with smartphones, iPads, PCs, all those things, right? It was really cool to see something like that. And I kind of also have something like that in my back of my phone case. Like, I have these, and these we developed on our own, so that's really nice. Obviously this is more like a piece of paper, but I had the real film reels in hand, and we made these in class, which is really cool, and you can see myself there. And yo, this sexy man, look at him, look at him, right? So for some reason I could really relate to this movie, and yeah, like, holy shit. Yeah, I started to cry, you know. It's somewhere around the ending I was like, holy shit, man, this movie is so inspiring. But you know, it's just a movie about a guy trying to film the stuff that he does. And like I said, I can relate because I want to film things too. Like, I went to Italy, I went to Paris, I went on vacation in France, I went, you know, I went to Antwerp, I went to Brussels, I went to Ghent. I filmed a lot of things, and people might think, well, he's filming again. Oh boy, there we go again. He's going to film something grinchy or, you know, something, you know, cheese or whatever. But the thing is, I like filming stuff. It's because, you know, I like doing it because, you know, I could make a video about it. I could do it for myself, right? I could share it with the people. Like, for example, I share funny clips, right? Or, you know, people waving at the camera that I just really would like to have as a memory for later in life. And, you know, it's something really stupid, but I think this movie, the Fabelmans, is one of those movies. If you're really into film, you need to watch this, right? I think, you know, the Fabelmans, you should begin with that. Like, this is a movie that is pretty recent, right? So last year it released. It's about a famous director, and it's obviously written and directed by Steven Spielberg, right? But this is loosely based around his real life. Okay, so, you know, it's weird to say. It's more like making a movie now about your own age, right? And seeing it in like 50 years, something, you know, thanks to the memories you have, thanks to the things you filmed. So it's important, if you're a filmmaker or a young one or want to get into filmmaking, video making, as a person who also does it, just film everything you can, man. And I think that's also one of his quotes, just from Steven Spielberg. Film everything you can. If you have a camera, just film it. Yeah, and that's also my intention. I try to film so many stuff, and sometimes, you know, my you know, my photo gallery is full. I can't really film a lot right now, but that's okay. You know, I think just having those memories, man, and I'm not quite sure if I'll do that in the future too, but I really like doing the things that I do right now, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. Like, just movie making, just hanging out with my friends and my youth movement, it's all epic, you know. So I guess from talking about the movie, we talked about my real life, and so yeah, I guess the Fablemans, it is really great. And yeah, I also hired it from the library because I saw, you know, I thought, you know, that looked interesting, and, you know, I watched it, and it is really, really good. But ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Yes, almost 10 minutes of me talking about a movie, but that's alright, that's okay, because, you know, movies are life, movies are love, movies are everything, and so is TV shows. A few of them, eventually. So, yeah, motion pictures are very cool, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you later. Goodbye, everyone.